Kia ora, New Zealand. Welcome to Sweet Chain Live. My name's Matt Drake. This is episode 153, and I'm joined by my host, Morgan Hartfeld. Good evening, Morgan. How are you?
Kia ora, Matt. I am so good, bro, and welcome back to you. Before we get into anything, start us off. What's been happening? What's been happening in your life? We're not going any further.
Okay, so yes, last week on Thursday, my wife gave birth to our second child, a boy, Titus Drake, PDGA 277943. And yeah, everything's going great. He's fine. My wife, absolute hero. Not only got through the whole giving birth thing like a boss, but in the week since has really bounced back. It's been incredible. So took him for
congratulations to you. Congratulations to your whole family. Welcome to the disc golf team, to Titus. We're all so happy for you, bro.
Thank you very much. That means a lot. And we took him for his first round today. Took him for a whip round hikoi koi for his first round today, which was
1 week old, first round.
Well, he's got to start. He needs to know what the sound of chains are, right? So we thought we'll get him out, and it was a nice day. So yeah, he wasn't the only person with a birthday in the time we've been away. Morgan, you had a birthday as well, did you not?
I was like, who just had a birthday? Oh yeah, I did. I made it.
People, many happy returns.
Thank you very much. I've made it to 36. I've survived. We're still here to tell the tale. I had a great weekend. Had a few friends over for a barbecue and thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Excellent. You're barreling towards MA40, which is fantastic. It'll be MP40.
You don't want me up there. You don't want me up there.
It'll be MP40 for you. So we'll be looking forward.
It won't be any danger to your rounds. It'll just be danger to your mind, having me in your groups. Mentally stimulating you throughout the whole round.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I have to say. So just whilst we're on the subject of PDGA numbers there, and the data analytics team actually alerted me to something which around Titus was registered for the PDGA on the day he was born, as was Devon, my eldest daughter. Now, her PDGA number, she's coming up to, she'll be 4 in March. Her PDGA number is 135527, right?
Yep.
And then Titus is 277943, which means that more people have joined the PDGA after Devon was born than joined before. That
incredible stats.
That's ridiculous. And if you take that and actually look at it in New Zealand, it gets even more bizarre. I think Titus is like the 1100th New Zealand disc golf member on the PDGA site. Devon is like the 250th, right? So, like 3/4 of the people who are PDGA members in New Zealand registered since March of 2020.
That's a big shout out to all you guys in the chat that are viewing and watching,
which is incredible.
You guys are the ones that make up the numbers, so well done.
It's fantastic to see, and long may that growth continue. Now we've got a great show for you today. We're going to start by going over the hot scores as always, and then we're going to be welcoming in our 5-time world champion Juliana Corver and her partner Jim Oates, both of whom won their respective divisions at Nationals this last weekend just gone. And we'll be talking to them about, well, where do you start? I mean, there's so much to cover, really, but we'll do our best to.
We'll just pull the string and see where it unravels to.
Indeed, and chat. If you've got any questions for Jim or for Juliana, then pop them in the chat, and we'll try and get to them. And after that, we'll be looking back at some of the results of the tournaments that we weren't able to cover last week. So we'll have a look at the results of Topor and of Nationals, some noteworthy results all the way down the card to talk about there. Also be talking about some of the feedback that we've had from Nationals. A lot of people have reached out to me about things that they've seen and heard, and some of it's good, some of it's not so good, and we'll be just talking through some of that, and maybe maybe have a discussion between me and you as to how, as tournament directors and as a community, we can move forward and make these things better. There's also a little bit of an announcement for in terms of Sweet Chain Music and what we're going to be doing to try and help to improve that as well. So that's coming. And then we'll finish by going through some of the upcoming events. Unfortunately, due to reasons which perhaps just explained, there's no power rankings this week. We'll go through the power rankings next week, and they'll be fully updated, right up to date, following Bottle Lake. And I think they go back as far as the Roxburgh, I think, was the last update we did, following just before the Smash. So we'll be getting onto that. But let's start, as ever, with hot scores, starting down in the south. Morgan.
In the deep, deep south, welcome back to Hot Scores for the week. Matt, just to clarify, is this, you may have actually just said this, is this week or this week and last week accumulated?
Just this week. Just this week.
Perfect. All right. For this
apologies if you went red hot 10 days ago. We've only got it for this week. Yeah.
Right, so this week's hot scores coming in from the south, we've got Mr. Jaden Black, Mr. Bluffy, Queen's Park's champion, 44 minus 13 under par. Headed over to Chingford, Mr. Calvin Cummings with a 22-6 under par. Sticking with Dunedin at Brockville, we've got Jack Maffey with a 25-4 under par, joined by Tristan, also at a 4 under par. Queenstown Gardens and Tucker Beach are owned by Smokey, Mr. Pete Mackay. 45-12 under par at the Gardens and a 55-5 under par at Tucker Beach. Headed over into Wanaka, and we've got Ely Point, Dom Hayden with a 23-4 under par. The Silver Fox still slinging distance, smashing everyone out there in Wanaka. Sticking over in Wanaka, though, John Menzies at Lismore shoots a 47-8 under par. Headed on up to Christchurch, we've got Willie Taratana at Jelly Park with a 41-13 under par. Huge score at Jelly Park right there. And taking down both the other two courses that we have on file here, Ascot Park, Queen's Park Reserve, Kyle Harrop with a 50, 8 under par and 27 under par. 8 under par at Ascot, 7 under par at Queen's Park, and Taylor River up in the north of the south, Ben with a 59, 1 over par. There's some awesome scores there, man. It's awesome to see Willie Taratana back up there, the Silver Fox and Smokey taking down Queenstown. How are we looking up in the north?
So starting in the capital in Berhampore in the hills, and it's Boom Boom Brett Carlisle who hits 8 under par. Over the water at Koi Koi, Ben Morrison and Andy Davey can't decide who's best, tying as they've done at 5 under par. Andy Davey took out Harcourt Park with a 7 under par. I think that was at League last night. Joel Simpson owns Linklater this week with an 11 under par. Incredible scores. And at Maryland's, Jason Gray, Jason Packer, Jim Hick, Brian Rawlings, and Tom Roberts all go 5 under par.
What?
So incredible. Well done to them. Spa Park Black, course, Disker and Callum Petman hit 15 down. McLaren's Longs, and it's Matt G who hits, that can't be right. I've got 17 down for that. That can't be right. Oh, well. Okay, well done to Matt G. You got the hot round for this week. And up at Henderson, Conor McKinstry hits a 58-6 under par. So well done to him. Well done to everybody who hit hot scores this week. It's been a busy couple of weeks, with tournaments pretty much back to back. So
busy, man. I can't believe it's already, what are we on now? The 8th of February?
It's the 8th of February already. Yeah, I mean,
where is it gone?
Raced around, and we've still got a few more weeks to go. However, our guests this evening are people who have found success in the last couple of weeks and are on. Is it a vacation? I don't know, or would it be called as a holiday? I don't know. We'll ask them. We're joined tonight by our guests, Juliana Corva and Jim Oates. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
So is this a vacation for you? Have I got that right?
A working vacation?
Working holiday. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. And so you've so first of all, welcome to the show. Welcome to New Zealand. You've been here for a couple of weeks now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what do you think? What go on then? Give
What
us
do you think?
what do you think of New Zealand?
What an open question.
What's your thoughts on your experience so far?
I actually have been to New Zealand once before. It was approximately 20 years ago, and it is still just as beautiful as I remember it being.
Excellent. Yeah, the people are really fun.
Yeah, we've been told we're a fun bunch, you know. We try to keep things interesting. Yeah, Jim, is this your first time to New Zealand?
Yes, it's my first time here.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful. We've had an opportunity through the tour down under to see a bunch of different things and do some touristy things, and as well as play some very good golf courses.
Nice one. Are you guys still in the North Island, or have you ventured to the south ready for this weekend?
Oh, we're here already.
We're in Christchurch, yes.
You're in Christchurch? Nice one.
Yeah, we're at Megan's.
So you had a practice round today at Bottle Lake, is that right?
We did a practice round yesterday, and then today there was a GK skins match, and we ended up doing mixed doubles. So it was various formats on different holes, alternate shot, best shot. So I've gotten
fantastic.
Nearly 2 looks at the course now.
Okay.
Perfect.
And I caddied today, so I got a look, but not a throw.
How did you fare in the doubles?
I think Joseph, my partner, and I ended up with 9, so half the skins, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, she carried him.
I can believe that.
She carried him and you carried the bag. Perfect. That's a good treat.
It was perfect day. Perfect day. We got it all sorted out.
Fantastic. Juliana, one of the highlights that I've seen so far of your trip, you did a bungee up in Topol. Is that right?
I did. Yeah, yeah.
Is that your first one of those?
Have I done one before? No.
Wow. Okay. Talk us through it.
Absolutely not. We did a VIP experience in Topol, and it included like a walk along the river to Spa Park, and then we went back down to City Central and got a little history lesson, and then we got on a boat and toured the carvings on the rock near near there, and I think it was the next day, I believe it was Henry came up and asked if I would want to do a bungee jump, and my initial reaction was yes. And then I thought, oh, maybe wait a minute, think about this a little bit more. I was actually surprised only 3 of our group of the U.S. contingency ended up jumping, and I was one of them, and it was an absolute thrill.
Yeah,
we're going to need you to throw someone under the bus here. Who decided to not jump?
Hey! You know,
Jim was busy carrying the bag.
I'm in my 60s. I got a bad knee and a bad heart, so it was. My brain was like, no. No,
it's not for the faint. It's not for the faint of heart. We've got down in my area, we've got 3 or 4 bungees, and they're all terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I was thrilled to watch her jump, and thrilled that the bungee worked.
Yeah, it's always been one of those.
It's right, we've heard.
It's always been one of those things that I think jumping out of a plane is a lot different to jumping out of a bungee, because you can see the ground and like it kind of it's more realistic, if you know what I mean. Like jumping out of a plane, I think you don't really feel like the ground is there in a way. Whereas a bungee, I'm not sure I could, when I'm over the edge.
So are you saying you have jumped out of a plane, but you haven't bungeed?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So I think if I got to the edge, I probably, I don't know what I'd do.
That's a really common thing.
Because your ankles are tied together, you can only sort of scoot up to the edge, and as you scoot closer, the more and more of the rope falls over the edge, so it gets heavier and heavier, and it feels like it's just going to pull you in feet first. So yeah, that was the worst part, was scooting up to the edge of the ledge. I
probably need someone to give me a nudge, honestly. But
I'll do it.
The kind attendant actually did give me a little push.
Is that you? Is that you volunteering, Morgan? Is that?
Hey, look, I'll jump if you jump, and I'll push if you don't want me to, or want me to, whatever you need.
Okay.
Well, it's really neat how they have the math worked out to where they can plop you down above the water or right at the water. It's really, really cool how they
to within
weigh you
inches
before you get on and everything. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah,
they wouldn't want me working out that calculation, I'll tell you that much.
One for the data analytics team, definitely. Right, so let's just move on to disc golf for a bit, and I just want to talk to you, Juliana, and you must get asked questions like this all the time on like all the shows that you appear about your past world championships and stuff. Look, there's so much kind of history to kind of go through, but is there any of those world championships that stand out for you, and which one in particular stands out for you?
The first one, the very first one was by far the most emotionally gratifying. And so, you know, before you get that first one, you don't know if you can do it. You don't know if you're ever going to actually get to the top of the mountain. And it was my goal to win. And I actually thought I had a good chance that year, and I invited my mother and my grandmother there, which I then thought was the kiss of death, because now that they're sitting in the stands, I'm not going to be able to accomplish it. But just putting in that very last putt and then allowing, I had a fairly good lead. This is back in the days of Final Nines. I had a decent lead, so the chances were on my side, but still didn't allow myself to look beyond that final nine. And so when I actually put in that last putt and everything flooded in, I fell to the ground and I started crying.
Yeah, I can imagine if you, especially because it's something that you've worked towards for a long time and you never know if you can do it. And then for the second one or the subsequent ones, presumably there's a feeling of I've done this before, so I'm of course.
Well, and you're no longer chasing the top, you're kind of being chased, so it's a different.
Does it give you a heck of a lot more expectation on your own shoulders at that point?
It can. I don't think it did on my second, and then I still needed to prove myself. But beyond that, then I kind of definitely felt different expectations. And ironically, anxiety levels could get higher. And I'm not sure how much you know of Jim's past, but he is also a 4-time world champion. So he also has gone through these roller coasters of emotions in such big events.
Jim, not just a bag man we hear. My goodness.
I had a life before the bag, yes.
I have 30 years of experience in the sport. Jim actually has 40.
Wow.
And that spans playing to even running tournaments as large as the World Championships and pro shops and all of it.
You're both by far the most accomplished people we've had on this show, and we're very honored to have you both on.
I think that's right.
Thank you.
I think you are absolutely right.
Yeah, 100%.
You went away from disc golf for a bit of time, focused on some freestyle. What was the reasons behind that? What kind of?
Well, so freestyle didn't pull me away from the sport. There wasn't enough money in it. You know, I never, it was never an intention to be a full-time job. It was just go and try to chase the top of the division and then move on to regular adult activities. You know, I had to make some money. I had to go get a real job. So I did that for a while. And then after being out of the sport, I got into running, I got into triathlons. So then in 2013, I sort of fell into the overall, which is 7 events. It's kind of like a heptathlon for Frisbee. All of the events are Frisbee events.
So what are the ones there? Because maximum time aloft, I think that's one. And
well, that is half of one.
Okay.
MTA, maximum time aloft, is half of self-caught flight. The other half of that is throw, run, catch. So one, you measure the time that it's in the air, and one, you measure the distance that you run from start to finish.
Okay.
So self-caught flight is one event. Disc golf, accuracy, distance, discathon, which is a timed event, and then freestyle and DDC.
Oh, wow.
So I'm actually interested in the discathon one. Could you elaborate a little more on that, please?
Sure, absolutely. Discathon it looks like you're just doing a speed round. You're running and playing a speed round, but you're not going towards baskets. There are mandatories on the course and like 30 of them, so your disc has to travel this obstacle course. But if you can, whether it be a forehand roller or a scuba roller or big hyzer, if you can get the disc to curve around these obstacles, then you don't have to run around them. You can run a straight line to where your disc ends up.
Yep.
And while you're running the courses are usually about 1 kilometer. And while you're running the course, there will be different tests. And a test is you have to throw up to a certain line. So if you want to be right at the front of the line to get the closest opportunity to make it through the test, then you would have to keep throwing to that. Because if you go over it, you'd have to throw back. Mm-hmm. And a test might be maybe throwing through a gap in a tree or throwing between two. One time it was underneath a bench in a park, whatever the test might be. If you miss the test, then there is a penalty that you have to run. And it's not very big, but you have to run around a particular penalty before you're back on the course.
Yeah, I see.
And typically when you finish, there would be an out of bounds lake that is drawn in front of like a soccer goal or football goal, where the disc has to go through the football goal to finish the course. But if you land in the lake, that's out of bounds. And you only have, you have 3 discs, and usually you're throwing one and then you pick up the one on the ground and then you throw another one. And then if you lose a disc, it's off the course. You can't go retrieve it. You've got the third one that you can play with. So if you lose 2 discs, you're disqualified.
It sounds like Struggle Street, Matt.
A little bit, yeah.
Right?
Obstacle course, kind of a Takeshi's Castle with disc golf.
Yeah, this is speaking to me and quite exciting me quite a bit because, as you know, Adam and I have got the Montana tournament coming up in April, and the whole event is based around things like that rather than proper rounds of disc golf, and it's going to be a points accumulation. So, just by saying, just by talking for the last 2 minutes or so, you've given me 10 more ideas, and I'm ready to walk off and start writing things down, if I'm honest. So thank you very much.
Sure.
Fantastic. And then after you after that, you then started to focus back onto disc golf. Is that how things went?
Yeah, back
around
in
COVID times.
It was after COVID. I think it was 21 when the women's national championship was supposed to be in Sacramento, and I was living in San Diego, both California cities. I was living relatively close to where it was going to be, and I thought it would be fun to come out and just sort of reunion tour, say hi to people. And by tour, I meant like 2 tournaments. And then because of complications with COVID and the economy, my job went away about the same time. And so I thought, well, there's 3 or 4 tournaments in this relative area within the month. So I'll just play all of them and then I'll go find a job. Well, I haven't stopped on the playing part. So it went a little bit better than planned, and it just grabbed my attention again and hasn't let go again.
Yeah, you played 21 tournaments that year.
Yeah.
just looking at some stats right now, you played 21 tournaments. So yeah, wouldn't have had too much time for work in between all of that.
And Jim, what's your experience been for all of this? Have you stayed true to the disc golf, or have you moved between disciplines as well?
Well, I started out when I started playing in the early 80s, the disciplines were what we did for tournaments. Disc golf was very small at the time, very localized, not a lot of big events. Most of the larger events were, overall events that you traveled to. So I started out in that direction. And then when disc golf started to take foot and I started to run events and and wanted to play and run event, and started to do that, and then opened pro shop and became course pro and all that kind of stuff, and developing courses and designing courses. It just kind of hobby gone wild, kind of, so I kind of came from that side and then went into the disc golf, and haven't really gone back to the overall side. I do enjoy the overall part of it. I wish more of the young people today had some exposure to it. There's no money in that side of it. So unfortunately, a lot of the, economics is that the kids want to gravitate towards the sport that's paying the most. So, which, you can't really blame them. But it would be fun to watch some of these young athletes, male and female, play some of these other disciplines. I think they could break world records and really do some wonderful things with it. So I'm excited to hear that you're going to integrate some of these other events into your next event.
Yeah, well,
So
I
that
mean,
sounds like
I run a lot of events, tour events and all sorts, one-day series events, and we're just looking to do something completely different to what's happening out there. Unsanctioned, super fun. Just super fun for all levels. You know what I mean? It's going to be a challenge, the same challenge for the top of MPO that it is for an MJ18 player.
Yeah, like I said, when I started, we were running overall events, hacky sack frisbee festivals.
Yeah,
doing all the stuff, sanctioned, unsanctioned, all kinds of events.
No, I'm very excited to see how this plays out, because if it works out how I sort of envision it in my mind, I'd love to make it an annual thing, and even more than an annual thing, multiple events a year, because I think that everyone sort of gets bogged down a wee bit in the seriousness of the sport, when, in reality, it's the top 3, I don't know the numbers, but let's just say the top 3 to 5% that are really playing for the money. The rest of the people are there for the experience and to have fun. So I want to just try and bring a little bit more fun back to the game and just remind everyone why we are actually there. Because we all do get burnt out. I'm sure you've been through it both yourselves. It happens.
I then have a suggestion for another potential little event that you could do. This is one that I used to participate in annually back in the Midwest. This happened in Minnesota. It was called the Moyer Mystery Madness. And you would go to the event in the morning, and the TD would present you with what it was that you would be throwing. One year it was the top of a 5-gallon ice cream tub. One year it not a frisbee. Usually it was circular, not always. And then one round would be played with whatever that particular object was.
That sounds fantastic. And Adam, if you're watching, I hope you're taking notes for us, bro.
Fantastic. Did either of you ever play Ultimate?
Just a little bit in college. I didn't ever just leagues and stuff like that. I never got on a formal team or of any kind.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked it, but I was a little too shy in college to go play.
Yeah, I found
that's your background, Matt.
It is. It's a different kind of. I played for many years, but it's a different kind of crowd I found, and it's a different kind of atmosphere at tournaments. Certainly that I found. I have to say I do much prefer disc golf. Sorry to the Ultimate players out there, but that's the case. Excellent. And so then you find yourself this year getting an invite to the Tour Down Under. Now, you were in Hawaii before here. Was that because it was easier to get to here, or were you going to be in Hawaii anyway, and then it was like, oh, hang on, this is something we might be able to do?
The second one, yes.
Okay.
We were planning on spending January in Hawaii, and I'm not sure that we would have made the trip here had we not already been in Hawaii, because I was concerned. We're both rather tall, and an airplane ride for that, 16 hours.
No, how you feel.
Not a lot of fun.
Right here.
but from Honolulu, it was 8.5 hours. So
that's pretty reasonable.
It seemed like it was meant to be.
Yeah. When we first started looking at it, we we're like, okay, we're going to be in Hawaii, and then we'll come back here, and then we'll fly back out.
Here being the continental U.S.
Yeah, the U.S. And then we would fly back, and then we started looking into, well, we're landing in Hawaii. Well, what if we just, the layover was in Hawaii? It was like, well, we're already there. So why don't we start looking at tickets and just leave from there? And it works out great because now we get to go back next week, and we're going to spend 3 or 4 more days there before we head back to the States.
There's some really good disc golf in Hawaii too, from what I've seen.
We did get to play a tournament, the Big Island Open, before we came down here.
Oh, nice.
Brilliant. Good stuff.
Yeah, they're a lot like here though. They're just they're not at the beginning stages of developing disc golf. It's been there, but they're getting a growth, and they're building their courses and creating more than just family style courses there. They're starting to develop championship style courses, much like we played this last weekend. The Redwood course was more of a championship open style course, where Bellaraka was more family style, tighter course. It was great to have the contrast the weekend before. When we played at Topa, that's a championship course. Now, normally it's set up as a family style course, but they stretched out some holes and really did a very good job of promoting and developing that course.
I think they've got.
I'm sorry, Matt. I'm just looking at the standings. I see, Jim, you came 11th. You managed to pip my friend Dave Mora by a couple of spots. He ended up in 14th, 2 shots behind you. David Mora. He lives on the island.
Is it in Hawaii?
Oh, you're talking.
Oh, sorry, in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, I played with the young men there, and that was a lot of fun. Had a really good time. That was another one where they took over a ball golf course, and Rob and Diego did a very good job of designing a pretty good larger course, and it gets very windy on that end of the island.
Pretty exposed up there, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But great fun.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And I'm glad I beat your friend.
So you've got Bottle Lake this weekend. That's coming up. So you got your first round's tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
And so have you both got early starts? Because what I noticed is that you both had fairly early starts.
I think I have an early start, 9 a.m. I think Jim's later on.
I'm at 1 o'clock. I'm playing with the 40-year-olds to
MP40.
So
yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm stepping it up this week.
There you go. Good man.
When you were playing in Topor, they've got about 36 basket sleeves, I think, on the property that they can just then move their baskets around to wherever they want to put them. And there's some that are obviously permanent, the ones that are based built on trees and whatever. But they've got a fantastic property there. And from what I heard, the tournament was incredibly well run, and a lot of people had a fantastic time. Juliana, in the end, you won relatively comfortably. But did you on a course like that? How do you go about? I mean, it's brand new for you. Obviously, you maybe had a practice round or two. I'm not sure what your schedule was like. But how do you go about kind of breaking it down and going, right? How am I going to get the dub here? What do I need to? How am I going to put this course together to? Where can I attack? Where can I not, etc.
Well, that particular course was about keeping it in bounds. There were a lot of stringed OB lines along the fairways, and some of them made it so that the FPO cards really couldn't attack the holes. What was it? I think it was hole number 4, which I don't know if that's the regular way they played. I think the numbers might have been mixed up, so that means nothing. I'm sorry, but it was an elevated tee, and it's the most beautiful basket. Well, it's the one that's on the peninsula, and you can look down and see the water.
That's right. I think it's normal if you're playing the black layout. I think Steve Lawson will be in the chat, so he'll correct me. I think it's about hole 8 or 9. I think is that maybe 6 or 7. So it's about that part of the course. But for you guys, it was hole 4.
So the way they had that, they had OB string along the right side, along the tall grass, as you would expect, and on the left side, along the tall grass, up towards the keyhole into the green.
Mm-hmm.
But then they had a big lake, OB, right in the middle.
Where that other tee pad went from.
Yeah, to protect that other tee. And
it's right in the landing zone, eh? From the coverage I saw, it's right in the landing zone, at least for someone like myself.
So the men are strong enough to still go forward towards the basket and land on the little landing strip. And in practice, I had the courage to throw hard and try to get to the corner, and was successful. But I didn't want to be that aggressive during the tournament. And I finally figured out the best way for me to play that was putter, 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 putter.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of holes out there where the best play for me was to disc down and take all my power out of it, so that the placement was correct. I'm not really answering your question. I mean, I take notes when I practice so that I know where to land and what worked in practice and what didn't. Of course, we had one day that was really wet, and women didn't play in the wet. Sorry, men did. I caddied for Jim when he played in that horrible rainstorm.
Oh my gosh! Second round.
Yeah, second day.
Second round terrible. It was awful.
Yeah, it's just knowing the discs in your bag and then being able to adjust to the situation at hand.
No, I think I thank you for the answer, because it's actually touched on something that I think is quite interesting, and that's how courses are adapted by tournament directors for different divisions, right? And that's a fantastic example, right? Because if you've got a hole that, I don't know, doesn't force you to disc down, but encourages you to disc down to avoid a high score, then in my view, that seems like it's going to compress scores together. It's not going to give you the score separation that you might otherwise get if the hole was played differently, right? And I don't know, I've said on this show many times that that score separation is the thing that tournament directors ought to be looking at in pretty much every hole, right? That's the point of a tournament, is to find out who's best, and you do that by separating people's scores out. And I think so. My question to you is: have you seen any progress over the years in the courses you've played on contingency or consideration given to FPO divisions, and perhaps, Jim, to Masters divisions you could speak to over the MPO ones? And have you seen that kind of? Is it still some way to go?
Yes, absolutely.
20 years ago, 25 years ago, we all played the same courses. Now, granted, the courses were a lot smaller, so they were typically more appropriate for everyone. But now there is a huge effort to have distant appropriate tees for every division, and especially on the Pro Tour. And, that doesn't always mean shorter for women. It might mean add 50 feet and it's a par 4 instead of a par 3, or add 100 feet, and that is the case. So yes, and you hit the nail on the head saying that score separation is what you should look for. That's completely the way that it's going towards now, and I think that's wonderful.
Well, and Steve and Ken were very receptive to listening to the pros and the talk of having different tee pads and that kind of stuff. It's not always been a tradition here to have the different tee pads. I think if they want to encourage more older players to play and more women to play, they should have alternate tee pads away from what the Open are doing, going so big now. We did notice that at Redwood. The Redwood course had different tees. So did Bellaraca. The course here is not so big that I think we're all going to play the gold, except for the amateurs.
Well, but the long tees here.
The long tees here aren't really that inappropriate.
And there's still enough going on that a guy can't just stand up there and throw 700 feet and take away.
Yeah, exactly.
More technical lines at Bottle Lake, isn't it? From what I've seen.
Yeah.
I haven't had the opportunity to get there myself, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and Jay did a really good job of marking OBs over the last couple of days. We were thankful he ran out of flags. So, but no, the course looks beautiful. His family have really done a wonderful job in developing the course, and it looks ready to play for sure.
I kind of just wish Jay was about, I don't know, I'm assuming Jay is about early 20s. I wish he was about another 10 to 15 years older and had done this back then, because I used to live on the back side of that forest and go through exactly where the course is almost daily. And I would be such a good disc golfer if Jay was older and sorted this course out earlier. Damn it.
I think it has a very good mix of holes, short and long.
Yeah.
So, and the long holes are challenging, and they require you to have good placement.
They're not just long for the sake of being long, though.
Yeah.
They're interesting.
Yeah. They have a lot of turns and fair spots you have to hit on the fairway to get to the next spot. I think they did a very good job with it.
Yeah, Jay's got a lot of high-level disc golf experience, at least in New Zealand. So just going off the back of that, he understands what needs to be done to a course, and having an area like that to work with, a canvas like that, seems like he's painted a pretty beautiful picture. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think he's done a wonderful job. Yeah.
So after Bottle Lake, is it going to be straight on a plane next day, or have you got a few days to explore, or what's your?
Pretty much, we leave. We fly back to Auckland on Monday, and then Tuesday night we fly back to Hawaii.
Okay. So it's pretty. It's
pretty quick.
And so what are your plans when you get back to the States? Is it straight into the Pro Tour?
Mostly, we have a day or two to prepare. Actually, 2 vehicles, because we're leaving one in California, and then we're taking the other one out on tour, and then after a couple months we fly back to California to do 5 or 6 weeks there, and then fly back. So
yeah, well, last year we decided to move out of Northern California and move all of our stuff into storage, and my twin brother has a church up in Idaho, and he was nice enough to let us store our stuff there. So now that's kind of where we swing by and fill the van and reload. And so we'll be going back to do that. Then we'll go back to Sacramento, get the cars worked on, make sure they're all running real well. And then we'll head down, drop off one car at our brother's in San Jose. And then we'll head to the Memorial, is where we'll start this year. And then we'll meet up with the tour in Texas. We're both playing in a couple events there, and you're doing some commentary, right? Yeah. So it'll be a fun year. Juliana's going to do a little bit more commentary this year.
Fantastic.
And only playing, I think, 5 events.
Well, I think I'm only in 5 or 6 DGPT events. Yeah.
But then we're going to play a lot of A tiers and age protected, and try to play some of the the Masters Tour. We're going to try to do the Worlds on both sides. Actually, I think you're going to do the commentary for the Worlds this year.
I'm commentating on Pro Worlds and playing Masters Worlds.
Yeah.
I see.
So
you guys are going to work cut out for you in 2024.
What was that?
You've got your work cut out for you in 2024.
You know, last year, mid-year, we're like, okay, we're exhausted. This was fun, but we need to settle down. And then by the end of the year, when you start, the events start coming out and you start imagining what your schedule would be, before you know it, you're committed 100% to another 10 months out on the road. And here we are again.
Here we go again. Yeah.
Just let the good times roll on.
So
yeah.
how do you? Is when you approach a season as you're approaching now, are you setting yourself goals for this season, perhaps like you might have done in years gone when you were aiming for maybe your first World Championships or subsequent ones? Or
Not
are you
more survival?
Not to the extent that I did back then. One, I'm just trying to be kinder to myself and not put so much pressure on myself. So my goals, which I don't always do a great job of attaining, is to enjoy the journey more than trying to obtain a specific level.
Yeah.
I like that.
But I keep working on that. I need a lot more work on that one. That one's hard.
It's, when you've competed like we have our whole life, it's hard not to be competitive when you get to the event.
Default state.
But we're trying to have more joy, enjoy more people.
But so
we do like that part of it. So
the what's hard is that I feel like on a monthly basis, I can see a little bit more of my game slipping away as I age. There's an inevitability there to some parts. The power, the arm speed, all of that is slowly going in the wrong direction. And
welcome to my world, honey.
And so it's kind of a balancing act, because there are still things that you can do well, but then they have to compensate for the things that are going away. And it's interesting.
This is the part we've been working on.
we got a couple of questions in the chat that we're going to come to. So Brett asks, is it too early to ask these lovely people if they're coming back next year?
We have talked about it.
We've definitely talked about it. It was a fantastic trip. I think if we do come back next year, we'd like to spread it out a little bit more as far as obligations and things. It's been very every day, go kind of thing.
Well, okay, so here's an example. So, the events have run, like Topa ended on Monday and Nationals ended on Tuesday. So there's not a lot of time between events. And at our age, one thing that we prioritize back home is not playing the day before a tournament. And we have not been able to take any days off from playing. So
especially this week,
we're tired.
I mean, we're doing clinics, we're doing, we're doing interviews, we're doing, and we love doing all of it, and we wouldn't do it any other way, but it would be nice if we could, get out to dinner or go to the beach and find a little bit more free time and maybe even a day off.
But to answer the question, we are very seriously considering coming back. We both want to, yes. Whether it works into a schedule, we're not sure yet, but we are going to try to see if we can make it happen.
We are going to be in Hawaii.
We will be in Hawaii in January. So
already locked that one in.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. Because this week especially, Nationals finished on Tuesday, and then Bottle Lake starts tomorrow. So that gives you Wednesday and Thursday when you've got to travel the 2/3 of the length of the country, and you've got to get a practice round in. You perhaps got clinics that you're running. You're speaking to us. Thank you so much. But there's lots to pack in, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, hey, we didn't have to drive down here. Henry was nice enough to set up the tour for us Americans to be able to fly down and get here rather quickly. So that's been great. And of course the accommodations, the people have been fantastic. And so we absolutely have been treated like total royalty. So we love it very much.
Yes, the tour's gone above and beyond what we ever imagined. And we would very much like to be a part of it again.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Also got a question here from Bray asks, question for Juliana. Is it sad to see the LVC being taken away from the start of the tour? Always looked so cool watching it from here.
The LVC?
Las Vegas Challenge.
Las Vegas Challenge.
Las Vegas Challenge.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's the hard part about the growth is that it leaves behind some of the nostalgic historic events.
Yeah.
Yes, it's hard to see Las Vegas go away. And even though it's not part of the tour, we were still planning on going to Vegas until we found out that it conflicts with Santa Cruz, the Masters Cup.
Because they moved to May now.
Which is another old school nostalgic event for us. And it's really a shame because those are both West Coast, big West Coast events that everybody on the West Coast would try to attend.
Yeah, I mean, we used to start the tour basically going down through Pasadena and over to Vegas and Memorial and all those things. That was kind of the way things got started, you know, before the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And then slowly as the Pro Tour has developed, losing Las Vegas and then having Las Vegas trying to move to try to get in front of OTB so maybe they could get back on the tour when it comes around next year. It was tough because it landed on Masters Cup weekend. So it's very tough as this, you know, the new rule is now it's only 200 miles between A tiers where it used to be 500 miles. So now it's only 200 miles. So, I mean, there's over 200 A tiers, I think, this year. But it's you know, there's hard choices have to be made throughout the year now. So it's going to be tough. We can't be everywhere.
I mean, I guess it's a good problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sad.
It is.
Yeah. And there's a huge difference, between that 500 and 200 mark. Not a thing that affects reserves, but
absolutely.
In the States. You know, and especially with you've got a lot more people now who, you know, it's not just a growth in the number of players; it's a growth in the number of tournament directors. It's a growth in the number of people who want to get involved and do stuff. And then
well, that's a good thing. Getting more and more new tournament directors is a good thing. That's a really good thing, I think.
Yeah. We've got another question here. Your first event is a memorial. Do you think that event should just stick to the traditional Fountain Hills course, doing 3 rounds of that?
Well, because Shelley Sharp both the courses are hard because there's so many there's so many people enjoying the course that aren't disc golfers.
Yeah.
So both courses are very hard to play without delays because of people who
lots of distractions.
Don't know.
We don't because you don't see that in the YouTube like post-produced coverage of anything you see, because obviously it's cut out. Nobody wants to sit watching people sit down for 10 minutes while people walk their dog. So you don't see that as much. And I don't know if there were any delays in Topol, because that's a dog walking park as well.
There were a few, but not a lot. They had a lot of good spotters there too that held up the throws and kept the dog walkers moving, and they were interested to see what was going on. So,
well, some of the difference there, Topaz is so large. I mean, you can just have them back up a little bit, but Fountain Hills and Vista are so skinny that if they're walking down the sidewalk, you have to wait until they're completely past the hole.
Yeah.
Because, I've been going to that tournament for so many years. And it was always Vista and Fountain. And so that's the way the Memorial feels like it should be to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Fantastic.
They're kind of contrasting courses too. Vista is a bit longer, and I mean, both courses are fairly flat, but the terrain and going around the lake at Fountain is very challenging. There's like 9 baskets or 10 baskets that are within
right on the side of the lake,
6 or 7 meters of the water.
Yeah, 20 feet of the water. Yeah, that's an incredibly difficult course from what we see.
And it's usually windy.
Yeah.
Look, Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show and giving us your insights and your experiences. Very best of luck for Bottle Lake this weekend and the upcoming rest of the season. Safe travels, and yeah, thanks again for coming to New Zealand and sort of coming.
It's been our pleasure.
It really has been our pleasure. Thank you so much for being a part of it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate everything.
You're very welcome. And look, so we'll speak to you again soon, I'm sure. But otherwise, safe trips and very best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
See you guys.
There we go, Morgan. Legend of the sport. Both legends of the sport.
Two legends. I mean, I sort of just threw it out there in the middle of that chat that that's the most experienced people we've had on the show ever before, and I know we've had the likes of Paige Pierce and Jeremy Coley and others on the show, but you put both of them together, that is by far the most.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? 250 wins for Juliana at Topor. I mean, 250.
250 wins. I mean, I don't even think we've got anyone that's close to getting that many events here in New Zealand.
Perhaps not. I think, you're probably right. I think
it's got to be someone. It's got to be Simon Feasy, I would imagine, with the most events. And I know he's over 100, but 250, that's phenomenal. And they have those as wins. Wild.
Wow. Crazy. Right. There has been a few tournaments played over the last couple of weeks that we haven't had a chance to review or go into the details of the results. So we're going to do that now. Now, the first one that we want to talk about is the Topor Classic, which was played not last weekend gone, but the weekend before. Have you seen any of the coverage of this, Morgan?
Just little snippets on Facebook, Matt. It's been a very busy couple of weeks for me.
Okay, right. Now, hang on. Something's not showing. There it is. So Corey Ellis took this out by 2 shots over local Levi Stout. And he got a bit of a scare from Levi, honestly. With his
certainly did. Right off the go.
So that 1066 rated round there from Levi, you might have seen it, is the highest rated round by a New Zealander in tournament play
ever.
It beats the previous best, which was, can you remember who it beats?
We've definitely gone over it, but I definitely don't remember. Chat, help me out.
So we caveat it with tournament play because Ryan Cambridge has a higher rated round in league play. But in tournament play, Levi Stout has the highest rated round now. And then Corey Ellis comes back in the second day, which was torrential rain, and has a strong final round as they go in tied to take it out as well by 2 shots. Nate Perkins and Maxime Tonge finish tied for third. Jackson Sullivan, Joe Berry, Jonathan Wake, great to see him up there. Conor McKinstry, Francis Orange, and Austin D'Alessandro round out the top 10. That, honestly, if you took the pros out, sorry, let me start again. If you took the visiting players out and just left the New Zealanders, right? Levi has won by 11 shots.
And it's not just because he's being pushed by the pros either. I mean, obviously he shot the 1066, but this is what he's been doing.
Yeah, it wasn't any surprise, honestly. When I saw those scores kind of come trickling in on that Friday, I wasn't sat there going, "Wow, Levi's on a heater. This is great." I mean, obviously he was, but I wasn't there thinking this is some incredible moment that is completely out of the blue. This is just what we expected to happen. And didn't I say to you, I said to you on the Thursday night or the Friday, it was Thursday night actually, I before the show, I didn't mention it on the show, but I messaged you and said, I think there's a chance that we might see some records broken here in terms
did
of
say
highest rated rounds. And because everything was in the right place, right? You had a long course, you had high rated players coming to play with the possibility of score margins, big score margins between the highest and next best scores, right? So Levi Stout had the hottest score of the first round by 4 shots. And then Corey Ellis had the hottest score by 3 shots in the second round. And so when all those things kind of come together, that's when you've got the chance of hitting the big numbers.
He definitely proved you right, Matt.
So yeah, it was great to see. Let's have a little bit look further down the card to see who else took away the spoils. Juliana Korver, who we've just met, won by 8 shots over Zoe Andijk, and they finished fairly comfortably ahead of the field. But I think Nicola Stout, Victoria Speller, Michaela Kerr, probably an absolute blast playing with those guys over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you've had a chance to check in with Victoria. I think she was on the same card as
I've only ran into her for a matter of moments in passing when I was jumping in my car to go to work, so not a big opportunity just yet. Yeah.
In MP40, Trevor Harbolt wins quite comfortably by 16 shots. This was after he struggled at the Smash A, and then came back with aplomb.
And with a vengeance, even. What's he got there? 16 strokes.
I mean, how many people beat Mark Dakiv by 16 shots and Mikey Yu by 23 shots? I mean, that doesn't happen at all, right? No. So incredible stuff there. So very well done to him. In MA1, Luke Hempel, I think we perhaps called this, took out the win here, but it wasn't easy, and it was certainly a bit topsy-turvy as the tournament round goes on. I'm sure he felt the pressure for the majority of that round. FA1, Charlotte Dunkley in a good battle with Kath Headley, only really Kath fighting back at the end, and I think it was the maybe the second to last hole that was a struggle there. In MA40, Hayden Shaw takes out the win over Phil McLeod and Brett Carlisle. Obviously, I was cheering on the 2 Wellingtonians here to do the business.
Hayes is on a bit of a tear at the moment, I think. I'm not sure what the number is, but he's
absolute heater.
He's definitely getting through a few events at number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some might say, cynics would say that perhaps it's time to go from MA to MP, but that's not my call to make. So
he's 914 rated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's going to go up, right? That's going to increase.
Yeah. He's also said that MP40 is too serious.
The MP40. Oh, is it really? Okay. Well,
supposed to hang out with guys like you, Not serious. Ultimate frisbee at heart.
I doubt that's the case. In MA2, Callum Petman beats Ty Engelke by a stroke to take out the victory here over John Crawford and Jason Gray. Big MA2 field. In FA2, Nikki Toth wins comfortably over Ming Zhang. And in MA3, Andy Din wins over Jaden Green. So pretty, from all the feedback that I've heard about Topor, and obviously I'm in group chats with people who went, and they gave honestly the same feedback they've given for every other event in Topor that they've given.
Yeah.
Which is, it's fantastically well run. They just think of everything. They've got an absolute, peach of a course, honestly, which is a great start. But it's not just about the course, right?
Not at all. It's a great baseline, but man, Steve Lawson and that team up there, they're killing it.
I think the key word there you've just mentioned, Morgan, is team, right? Because while Steve Lawson, Ken, and Rich, they're the kind of I don't know, they probably wouldn't agree if I said the leaders of that team. They might do. But they really have got a huge group of people who help out. And
makes such a big difference when you've got a big old group around you that sort of spread out the duties and
so Topor Disc Golf Club are doing fantastic stuff, and all the feedback I've had has been, and what I will say is that the feedback I've had has been consistent from pros to AMs to age protected to everything, right? So it doesn't matter if you're battling it out with Corey and Levi, or if you're just trying not to finish last in your MA3 or MA2 or whatever. I think whatever experience you have, whatever division you're playing in, and wherever you're competing, and whoever you're competing against, even if it's just yourself, you had a great time. Is what I'm hearing, and the feedback that has come to me, and some people send me feedback that I'm in a few group chats, people who went, and I hear things from other people, and it was absolutely fantastic as an event. Saying that, it feels like there was then a turn and a contrast when Nationals came about last weekend, because I wasn't getting the same vibes from the feedback that I got about Nationals as I got from Topor. Now, chat, I'd be really keen to know your thoughts here. The feelings that I got here was that if you played in the pro divisions, so you were one of the competing MPO players, then you were very well looked after and you had a great time. But there were concerns for the experience that people had if you weren't playing in those positions, which is a majority of people, right? And we're talking about and you said it earlier on, the course isn't everything. It's all perhaps like the little things that you expect to happen, right? You perhaps take them for granted, but when they don't happen, make massive differences, right? And I'm talking about things like, I heard feedback that there weren't any first aid kits available. I'm hearing feedback that there wasn't any water available on the course. I'm hearing feedback that the toilets were the toilet facilities, at particularly the Orchard course, were. You wouldn't wash your car with it, right? And this is the kind of stuff I'm hearing, and that I think is disappointing. That honestly, that's disappointing because, and I've said I don't know how many times. Like we need to mention it on this show, or I can't make the point enough. It's a major, right? It's if there's one tournament you're going to get right and get right, it's this one, right? And there was just a few things that weren't quite right about the AM experience.
So and you've sort of just gone back to it there, the AM experience, but
it hasn't really
just
been right.
I want to word myself correctly. The Tour Down Under has been clearly geared towards international pros being brought to New Zealand to showcase the sport, not only for us seeing them, but for them seeing us. Mm-hmm. It's 100% geared towards the top tier pros. So a big proportion of the focus is going to be on those guys. That doesn't mean you can forget about the AMs and the next division and the next division down. It's not really an excuse. I wasn't there, obviously, at Nationals.
Neither of us were there.
Yeah. But, I've sort of seen a few of the same things you've seen. You mentioned a few of the things that I've seen. And I got a few messages throughout the week and, during Nationals. And it was a little bit disappointing to see. But at the same time, I know that they would have been putting on a pretty awesome spectacle at the same time. So, I don't want to dig too much into the negative side of things because they definitely, we've just heard from Juliana and Jim that they had a fantastic time and they spoke highly of both events. So it does suck though. It does suck a little bit. We want everyone from top of the roster to the bottom of the roster to have a similar experience at the very least, enjoyment wise.
So look, there's lots of comments coming through with people sort of saying a similar kind of thing to us, and I'm sure that the feedback will all go back, right? But all of this feedback sits with the Tour Down Under and with NZDG, right? NZDG sanctioned this event, and they're the ones who put their stamp on it. And I would, if I was on the NZDG board, I'd be fuming, honestly, about if only half of what I've seen, and I wasn't even there, if only half of what I've seen and heard is true, then I'd be I'd be fuming. I'd be fuming. I mean, we're talking about a situation, right? Let alone the toilet facilities, which I've seen the toilet facilities at the orchard course, right? They were buckets and tents, right? I mean, not being funny, but that's just not right, is it? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Look, there's standards to uphold when you're holding an A-tier event, let alone a major. Doesn't matter if it's a major or not, there's standards to uphold with an A-tier, and it just sounds like a few things were below par. I'm sure there's a number of people out there that are at the event that are more than happy to share their experience information. Obviously, chuck it in the chat. We'll read it, diagnose it, break it down however we can.
I think it's a bit disappointing, and it's disappointing for the kind of the average punter, if you like, because they've seen what could be done, right? Southern Smash, for example, as the prime example, hosted nationals last year, did a fantastic job of doing it. I didn't hear anybody come away with any kind of feedback that any kind of feedback that was anywhere close to this. I'm just reading through some of the comments now. The owner of the orchard wouldn't let them put toilets in. Then you don't use that property for a disc golf course. It's not suitable. Is my view anyway. So I just going to carry on. So people will have gone to Southern Smash and gone, geez, this is picked up. This is real good. This is really good. This is really good quality tournament. And then, as a community, I think that this year it's perhaps taken a bit of a step back. Chat, what do you think? Would you agree with that? Have things kind of gone backwards?
So, Matt, it is a freaking massive undertaking to take on one major, one A-tier. It is.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
Enormous.
Yeah,
absolutely enormous. And I feel like this might just be the sign that trying to run back-to-back events is, it's showing its teeth a little bit. If I'm saying that right, you've come straight off a Taupo and you've got to come up and run another event right away. It's especially that's the one that Henry and Simon are TDing themselves. So that's probably going to be the hardest one for them for the whole tour. Whereas now they're headed down to Christchurch and they've got the likes of Jay Watkinson and others helping out down there to actually TD and run the tournament. And those guys are going to be doing background admin as opposed to actually running the event themselves. And same with Paradise, with Martin Galley and the Wanaka crew actually running that event. They've had to come from a major at Taupo and then with 3 days set up. Well, they already should have set up, but set up, get prepared, run, operate, do all your background admin in a matter of that's insanely hard. I couldn't do it. I'll put my hand up right now. With all the events I've run, I could never do that. And I wouldn't try.
Yeah. Ben Wheellake makes a point. Looked unreal watching from afar. And yeah, I think that the coverage that we saw on GK Pro, I don't know if you've tuned in and watched any of it. I watched it almost on the day it came out. But what I will say is, how good was it to have coverage of the round before the next round started? That was brilliant. I thought that was great. So, props to GK Pro for the fast turnaround, which wouldn't have been easy, right? I don't know if they're production teams in New Zealand or are they sending files back and people working funny hours. I don't know. But they did a great job in turning it around. I really enjoyed the coverage, actually. So yeah, and you're right. I think it did look great. On the face of it, I think when you perhaps talk to some of the people who were there, it perhaps didn't quite go didn't quite go according to perhaps how people would have wanted it to.
Yeah, well, we don't no one gets everything right. It's not possible. And I guess at the very, very least, it's learning experiences for next year. You know, maybe you look to have someone else running the tournament and you continue the admin. That would be my suggestion, because coming off of just and I've already said it, just taking a few days coming from a big event, going in to run your own big event, that's a logistical admin nightmare.
Yeah, I guess for me, I'm looking at this and kind of going, well, does this now mean with NZDG and the Tour Down Under as a combination like this, that because of the potential draw of overseas pros coming and the draw for them as well, that New Zealand Nationals will always be a Tour Down Under event, and B will always take place in the 4 weekends or whatever is the calendar kind of says these are the 4 weekends, and C has to be run in a place that fits the kind of scheduling and journey of people. Is that
you might see it happen like that for the next year or two, and then I feel like it's not going to be feasible down the track to do it like that, and other people are going to be wanting to be running those events that aren't part of Tour Down Under.
Yeah, because I like the idea that Nationals kind of rotates and goes between different places, and you're not going to the same places each time.
We are somewhat limited in New Zealand currently with the amount of courses and style and what courses we have, as to where you can even have.
Yeah, but that's going to grow.
Nationals, I can only think of off the top of my head 3 or 4 places. They're even genuinely right now in this day and age suitable. So things will change.
We've only got a few weeks really that we can utilize for good weather, right? So if you kind of say, right, well, we want Nationals to take place in the summer because that's when the best weather is, then you're limiting yourself to perhaps sort of December to March. And even then, the edges of that time period are perhaps a bit dicey.
We're an island nation, Matt. It rains every tournament at least for 20 minutes.
But then I would argue, what's wrong with having Nationals in the middle of June and saying, right, well, everybody man up, bring your wellies and your umbrella.
I don't see a problem. Tucker Beach Rush has been in July for however many years now, and people still come. The event fills out, and it's a hell of an event, and it's freezing cold.
That's right.
And that's just another level to, the skill set that you need to build into.
There's 200 people with new umbrellas now as well, so very much prepped for what may come. And so why not run it at a different time of year, right? Conor McKinstry, Inglewood for Nationals 2025 Elite Series. Wow. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Inglewood. I love Inglewood. I think that's one of the courses that's capable of running, an event of the size and prestige. There's plenty.
I'll talk to you in about half an hour.
So it's a bit disappointing, I think, that we had that that all that feedback came through, and I'm sure that there'll be feedback that's given both to NZDG and both to the Tour Down Under, and I hope that they take on that feedback and perhaps even are able to respond to it.
And I'll put this out here live on the show. I'd actually love to see NZDG actually come back with a statement or just a conversation about it. If anyone from NZDG wants to jump on the Sweet Chain podcast, have a chat with us about how things are going, because I have to be honest as well, I think NZDG has been a bit quiet. I don't even need to elaborate on that.
This is an open invite to anybody of NZDG or Tour Down Under who wants to come on and have a chat to us about what went on.
I'd love to speak to someone on NZDG. I mean, no offense to Henry, we've just had him on a couple of times recently when we've talked about Tour Down Under. I'd really like to speak to someone on NZDG. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, agreed. Let's have a look at some of the results. There was some disc golf played at a very high level, despite everything else. Corey Ellis, again, takes out the win comfortably.
Very
comfortably, honestly. I mean, he had a lead after round 1 at Bellaraka, and that's where he did most of his work. The you know, round 2 and round 3 were kind of Luke Humphreys kept pace, but it was his work done at Bellaraka that really cemented it in, and shot a 10.72 and a 10.74. I think I'm right in saying
that. Oh my God, that's so wild.
I think I'm right in saying that that's the. Let me just check this actually, because I can bring it up.
We just don't hear those numbers.
No, we don't.
You barely even hear them out of the States. You know what I mean? Obviously, because of the level of competition those guys are playing. But
so to give you an idea, those 2 rounds. So the question we asked earlier is who was the highest rated Kiwi round prior to Levi Stoughton tournament play? It was, of course, Tom Mackay at the Lords of Lismore in 2019 with a 10.62. Now, Corey Ellis's 10.72 and 10.74 are the second and third highest rated rounds ever thrown in New Zealand. Okay. So if you watch those rounds, you were watching some of the best disc golf played in New Zealand. You have to go back to 2 years ago to the Bros for Change Charity Classic, where Drew Gibson threw a 10.78 rated round, so four ratings points higher than Corey Ellis. Could still happen in the remaining two tournaments. I'm not sure what Paradise is like for giving out ratings.
I feel like it could happen at Paradise. I really do.
I think of either. I think Paradise is more likely.
Yeah, 100%.
It's more likely to happen, and the reason being is that Bottle Lake this weekend. We'll get on to this schedule in a minute, but after we've done some of the results, Bottle Lake's got some interesting things about it that I think will perhaps dampen some of the possible ratings that could come out of it. Not that I guess any of the pros particularly care, but like for us anyway, it's always interesting to see. So looking further down, Levi Stout is the highest placed New Zealander, followed Francis Orange tied 5th with Nate Perkins and Paul Oman. Fantastic showing from Francis. That's great to see. And Andrew Popham, those 3 have been doing battle for some time. Then Jackson Sullivan in 9th.
I messaged you about Francis, didn't I?
You
I
did.
was like, look at him going. Man, I know the score doesn't really, the overall score doesn't really reflect that, but man, he's shooting hot. He's probably the person I'm most impressed with in 2024 so far.
Yeah. Jake Brennan. Jake Brennan's been playing really well. He was just sort of hanging around the top 20. I think just dropped out of the top 20 recently, but I think with these couple of results has probably broken back in. As I said, next week we'll have the full rankings update. Wouldn't be surprised, especially if a good showing this weekend, that he pokes his head back into the top 20 again, perhaps even higher. A bit further down in FPO, Juliana Korver again once again takes out the win over Zoe Andike by 2 shots this time, so slightly less. I think this was in part down to the course. I think Bellaraka looks a brutal course to play. I've not played there myself.
I was going to say you've not played there.
I've not played there, but it looks.
It's a hell of a course. It is one of my favourites in the country. But if you get off the fairway, rather,
you get battered. You get battered. In MP40, Mikey Yu takes out the win relatively comfortably over Kane Meal. Had a lead for the majority of the tournament. Matt Pritchard and Mark Dackey finished 3rd, 4th, and Anthony Rogers. Good showing by Anthony Rogers actually in 5th place. Over MP50.
I called him out for a good showing too.
Say again.
I called him out for a good showing too.
You did. Yeah. You're getting better at this tipping, Lark, I tell you.
I'll be a professional gambler one day.
You will be. Over at MP50, Blair Joins wins by 18 shots over Andrew Faulkner. He's just.
I did not see that result, but man. Blair Jones just does not stop.
He does just slowly gets on with it, and you know, is incredible. I've only ever seen him play at Harcourt Park, and he just sort of just quietly tears it up, and you'd be like, I'm putting in all this effort, and you look like you've just gone for a walk and shot 8 down or whatever. Anyway,
that's how I remember when I first seen him, like 10 years ago. Just slowly getting on with it and destroying.
Jim Oates wins MP60 by 11. It's not 11 shots. It's 30. What's that? 31 shots.
What?
Yeah, had a lead and just kept growing it. Grew it by 10 strokes in the last round. So well done to Jim. In MA1, Luke Hempel again beats Keaton Nager in a playoff, and Chris Townsley, in a playoff, to take out MA1 for his second Tour Down Under event win in a row. Luke Hempel's playing some really good golf.
Yes, he is.
In FA1, Michaela Kerr takes out the victory pretty comfortably over Charlotte Dunkley and Hannah Edmonds. This is great to see. We've spoken about Michaela on the show in the past, the amount of effort and work she's putting in. If you follow her on Instagram, then you'll see all of the kind of practice she's doing and the putting practice and the field work. It's incredible. Really good to see it paying off. MA40, James Sutton wins. I think so. James Sutton wins the playoff against Les. James Sutton's final round, 10:04, which is incredible.
Wow.
Got to be that's one of the highest MA40 rated rounds. I'll get the data analytics team to have a look at this, because I'm sure that's got to be somewhere near the top of the highest rated MA40 rounds. You don't often see MA40 rounds topping a ton. MP40, but not MA40. So well done to him. Stuart Gilchrist, Zachary Kochi, and Phil McLeod. We were cheering him on from Wellington. He was second going into the final round, and Les won the playoff. Sorry, I'm being told. So yeah, there's something wrong with the standings there. But we were cheering Phil McLeod on, who was second going into the final round. But you know, didn't count on a charging James Sutton to come from behind, and then Les to hold on for a playoff. FA40, Nicholas Stout takes out the win over Edwina, and Kath having a tight battle at the end. Edwina just picking Kath to the post in the final round. In MA50, Bryce Kennedy wins by 3 shots over Chris Kingsnorth. And Andy Brewster, you'll notice, was his round isn't scored here, so I don't know if he DNF'd or what happened. But he was the reigning. This brings on to a point that I think was that's covered elsewhere. Andy Brewster is the reigning MA60 national champion, right? Mm-hmm. MA60 is not a division that was offered. Now, I don't know if this was because of the number of people that had signed up for it, or some other reason, you know, groupings or whatever. But it's a bit of a shame that he wasn't able to defend his title.
Yeah, it is. It's these things happen. We'll put it that way.
Tim Marshall beats Callum Petman to top spot in MA2, a tight final round there to round everything off for them. Logan Gemmell wins MA3. Oh, COVID, says Phil. Oh, my word. Was COVID about? Oh, I hope not.
Damn it.
Well, get well soon, guys. That's no fun at all. But yeah, that's no fun at all. Logan Gemmell over Levi Gojak wins MA3. In an FA3, Lacey Ann Sims takes out the national title to win by shot over Robin Agnew. Down in MJ18, Ty Engelke wins by quite some distance over Damien Snowball, but is that 11 under par was the highest, was the best score of the AM divisions, right? So for the people who played this like setup of, you know, combination of courses, that was the highest. So very well done to Ty for taking out that one. In FJ18, Alison Tweedy beats out Sarah Wadsworth by 30-something strokes. Sarah, again, unable to defend her title in FJ8, so I presume
that was a bit of a funny one. I believe her division got taken away before the event started.
Right. Okay. Again, I'm not sure what happened there.
No, I think it actually happened. At least maybe two divisions. Her division got taken away before the event started. She got mixed into that division.
Right. Okay. I see. And it's the reason I bring it up is I don't know if this is going to come up now. Oh no, I've missed it. Have I missed it? Yeah, I probably have. No, ignore me. I was trying to think of something else, but I've lost it. So, yeah, apologies.
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to read the chat, but it's scrolling by and it's so small on my phone. I've got a laptop and a TV here, and I'm trying to read the small fine print on my phone.
Question from the Dark Knight: why wasn't there an FJ8 division for Sarah? I don't know. And Ben's maybe asked it there. Defend seriously though can't have one player divisions. I agree. I don't think one player divisions do any favors for anyone. Honestly, I don't think they serve any purpose. Yeah. That's just my view. It's a from a pure competition perspective, from a pure competitiveness perspective, I don't think one player divisions are the way to go.
I'm just going to twist this chat for 1 second. I just realised a shout out to Ben as well. He's watching all the way from Japan. Right.
Oh wow. Oh well, yeah, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. That's only just come to mind.
Well, there we go. Marion Tweedy, presumably Alison's mum, says Alison's the only amateur woman to go under par all event. Oh, well, congratulations to Alison, and very well done on your nationals win. Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. She won Junior Player of the Year, obviously, in our recent Cheneys, and has continued that with some good performances. I can't wait to see what this calendar year is gonna open up for Alison in terms of her ability to perform against FA1, FPO, etc.
I'm very excited to see what Alison's going to do this year. Very, very excited. Yeah. But I actually do just want to go back to the Sarah thing with the one-person division. Their family wasn't happy with that, and Sarah is actually taking time away from disc golf now.
That's what I was trying to find a minute ago.
I've seen that earlier.
I'm sure I saw a post that
and said that. I've seen it on Instagram about an hour before we got on the show here. I just remembered. Not happy about it though. So it obviously meant a lot to her and the family for her to be able to defend that title, for it to be taken away pretty late notice.
Yeah, it honestly, and Matthew Rance makes a point there. But is there a greater benefit for kids to be playing against kids twice their age? You know what? Look, it's going to be one of those things where whatever decision is made, you're going to annoy someone, right? So I
might just be about the timing of the decision and not the decision itself, I would say.
Yeah, perhaps. It really is. It's really tough, honestly. And Connor's kind of touched on it previously. Is it time to separate AM and pro nationals, and at the same time, presumably, separate junior nationals from AM and pro? So you have junior events that attract way more people that you run specifically for juniors, and you say, right, this is nationals for the juniors, right? And this is it. This is the real quiz. This is the one that matters. And so if you want to be the national champion, this is the one to come to. And you run it a little bit like the junior tournament that was run. What was it? June, July of this year.
I quite like that.
I think that's going to attract more people, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to get more. you're gonna have more competitors in the division. You might have more beginners. It might be stacked with people who have only been playing a week, but still, it's still going to offer you that competition. And I think that's something that should be looked at. The idea of splitting pro and am, that's an interesting one, because do you preclude ams from entering the pro? Right, pros will be precluded by PDGA, but do you preclude the ams from? Yeah. Do you have separate events?
Yeah, I mean, we are going to end up at that point one day. It might not be right now, it might not be in the next 3 years, but I think we will end up at that point just on sheer capacity. And you just have a bottom line for divisional entry ratings-wise.
Yeah. We might not be there. Yet.
We're definitely not there right now.
Phil makes a fair point that we might not be there yet.
We're definitely there for AM events, not pro.
Yeah, and Riley makes a course. You can also tailor the courses more towards juniors rather than making shorter MPO courses. This is great and Juliana made this point, right? That you don't have to just make a course shorter to make it suitable for ladies or age protected or etc. Right? You can actually make it longer, stick a par in, put it around the corner. Just make it different, because what you're after is score separation. And this is something which I've banged on about this so much. I'm sure people are fed up with me listening to me bang on about it, honestly. But score separation is the thing. That's the point of running a tournament, right? Is to find out who the best player is. And the way you do that is you separate them by saying, here are a series of tests. If you all score the same on a hole, that's not told me anything. And is a dud. It's a dud hole, honestly. So look, I think that we've got a little bit of a way to go there before we've kind of tweaked that right. Some places are doing it great and are making some real big gains here. But I think generally speaking, we've got a little bit of a way to go. A little bit of a way to go there before we can really say that we've cracked this nut. But yeah. But look, I just want to say congratulations to everybody who won a national title this last weekend. I hope that you have the pride that having a national title deserves you to have, and that irrelevant of your experience at the weekend, that you go away feeling proud of your accomplishments, because honestly, it's fantastic. It's
huge,
irrelevant of what division you're playing in. It's absolutely.
I have a bit more.
Who took out the win?
I have a bit more chat that I do want to talk to you on stream about national titles and things like that. But we'll save it for another show, because I think it might drag out a wee bit.
Okay, all right. Well, let's do it as a Sweet Chain Discourse then. One of our segments where you put a statement to me and we have a disagreement on it, and we'll see.
We don't disagree on anything. We both believe in the same thing.
Well, I'm sure there'll be some people who disagree with us in chat, and that's perhaps enough. We shall see. Right, let's move on to the Bottle Lake Open then, which is taking place this weekend in Christchurch, around the corner from your old stomping ground, or on your old stomping ground, Morgan.
It is my old stomping ground. I used to go right through there to go to the old stickball course. On the other side of the road where they are.
Excellent. We've got a bit of a packed MPO field, and it's a little bit more packed than it has been last couple of weeks, with the arrival of I was going to say, have I got the right event here? Bottle Lake Open. Yeah, I'm sure Sullivan Tipton was playing this event. Have I missed it? I'm sure Sullivan Tipton was joining us for this event.
Go hit name and just go by alphabet.
He's not listed.
Name above Corey Ellis there.
Where?
Yeah, click name, and then scroll. Yeah, okay, no, not there.
So something's happened. Anyway, in terms of the top players, then Corey Ellis, Paul Oman, Luke Humphreys, Levi Stout, Maxime Tonge, we're looking at probably those players to take it out. Although you'd look at Jay Watkinson as well and say it's his course. If anyone's going to have experience playing it and know what all the lines are, and you'd have to say Sullivan Tipton's injured. That's such a shame. That's such a shame.
I'm going to call up Mr. Ashton Clark to be up in the top few there, mate.
Okay.
Probably still behind our international friends here, but out of the Kiwis, I think he's going to be right there, almost at the tippy top.
Yeah, look,
I still can't go past Levi. It's just written in the rules, but
that's not a bad shout. And the reason it's not a bad shout, he's been playing fantastically of late, and put together a good few wins, and is actually ranked, I think, 4th in the country right now. So it's certainly no slouch. And
he knows Bottle Lake too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's even more reason. We're going to be watching this division quite closely because it's a real packed field. Even as you go down, Kyle Harrop, who shot 100 points above his rating, at Bellaraka in the first round, and found himself on lead card, probably going, "What am I doing here?" And found himself on the telly, which, can I just say, I thought he handled it incredibly well. I'd be, I'm not sure how I'd react, but also someone who's just creeping in it, Sam Lycan, playing MPO this weekend.
Yeah,
let's see what can happen.
Very excited for this.
He's someone who we've been following closely as well.
Yes.
In FPO, great to see Gemma Sullivan back competing.
Oh, is she? How good.
She is. So yeah, great to see Gemma Sullivan back and competing. Otherwise, it's a pretty packed field with some of the best players in New Zealand, with Hayley Flintoff, Alexandra Williams, and Nicola Stout, obviously, and Megan Merrick, all competing. Obviously, Gemma Sullivan used to be at the very top of New Zealand disc golf. So, so that could be quite a tight division. We shall see how that plays out. In MP40, Anthony Rogers outside. So if you look out, Jim Oates and Mikey Yu going to go head to head on this one, you think?
Sorry, Anthony Rogers and Jim Oates, was that?
So Jim Oates and Mikey Yu going head to head in MP40.
Yeah, well, probably to be an absolute stats and in a technical course. So,
that's it.
I would say so. Tom Hayden, though, as well. He is no stranger. No stranger. Just putting it out there.
Absolutely. I mean, there's stories all the way through this tournament, so it should be a goodie for that. MA1, Sergei Sanin comes in as the highest rated player. No Luke Hempel this week. Duane Fisher plays. He, I would imagine, will be up there. Tyler Mausard will be up there as well. Anyone else taking your eye? Magnus Davidson plays in MA1.
Yes, he does, and he'll be familiar with that course as well. So we will see.
We shall see indeed. Big MA1 field as well, as we've seen before. Down in FA1, a relatively local set of cards here. So Rebecca Stanley is perhaps the favourite going into this event. We shall see what kind of a fight Claire Bruton can put up from Australia. Over to the best division, ME40. Ed Waddington and Kyle Martin go head to head. Kyle Martin's got to be favourite here, surely.
He does have to be favourite, but we've seen some really good results out of Ed recent.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. It's going to be tight anyway. I call that it's going to be a battle between those two this weekend. So, we shall see how they get on. In MA50, Chris Davies is the highest rated player going into this round. But again, it's anyone's game. And we could see anyone pop up in such a tight field. MA2, far bigger. Kevin Carpenter is the highest rated player. Lots of Cantabrians in this division, and so I should imagine someone who probably lives around the corner from the course is going to play very well and do very well here. In MA3, Joseph Ball, all the way down from Bluff, all the way up from Bluff, I should say. is the favourite going into this division. Be interesting to see again who can take out this. Lots of early tee times here. 8 a.m. 8 a.m. is really early.
Is that Matt, 8 a.m. My screen is just
yeah, 8 a.m. is the first tee time, and that's for MA3. Yeah, something which has a comment I did want to make, which is the reason why I think that ratings might be dampened this weekend, is because the divisions playing the pro or the gold layout is MPO, all the pro divisions, MPO, FPO, MP4, MA1, and MA40.
Oh yes, it was MA42. Yeah.
Right. So, and I think that remember that it's a. Oh, hang on, something's happened. Whoa, where are you going?
We all good?
Yeah, I think we've lost chat for a brief period of time. Hang on a second.
There was something funny happening on my end as well.
Was it?
Just before. That's why I was trying to read it, but I couldn't.
Okay, I think we might have lost chat temporarily. Chat, if you're there, can you type something in and let us know if you're still there? I think we might have lost them temporarily. What was I going to say? Leon's just made a comment. It looks like it's still working. Anyway, the reason why I think that's going to dampen, remember that ratings are a zero-sum game, and so the ratings being taken in for a group will be the sum of the ratings coming out, and with a lot of lower-rated players in MA40, as we tend to be, that's going to dilute some of the higher ratings of players in MPO, who are all part of the same course because they're playing the same layouts, and so will have an equal impact on the end rating for a scratch round, if you like. So I don't know. We shall see how that happens. Typically, when you've got a field that includes lower rated players, the overall rating comes out perhaps lower than you might have expected if you compare it against a field of higher rated players, right? So yeah, we shall see how how that's gone, how that goes. But yeah, so that's Bottle Lake. That's this weekend. I very much hope that everybody enjoys Bottle Lake. From what I've heard, the course is an absolute beauty. Juliana commented on it, but I've also heard comments from others on the ground as well, saying that it's great. I hope all the background stuff is sorted, and that everybody, whether you're playing MA3 or MPO, have a fantastic experience.
I think they'll be really good this weekend, Matt. It's I hope so. Going to what I was saying before, they've got an on the ground TD that's his dedicated role, is TDing the event and overseeing everything, making sure everything's running smoothly, and I think they'll be perfectly fine this weekend. It's going to be a heck of an event. So big up to you guys and good luck to you all, including TD's event directors, quarter down under everyone.
Indeed. So look, that kind of about does it for us. I just wanted to go through some upcoming events, if I may, just very quickly before we sign off. And that's not it. It's here. There it is. So Bottle Lake Open is this weekend, then it's Paradise Place, and then it's the Ashburton Open on the 24th of February. Then a bit of a gap. You get some time off. Then the Disctopia by Disconnection. Now, this is in Masterton. And Morgan, get this, right? If you're an amateur and you want to play this event, $45.
Nice.
For a two-day event, and it's free 27-hole rounds. So you're playing 81 holes over a weekend for $45. I mean,
perfect. Love it.
What's that? 50 cents a hole? That is, I mean, you don't get much better than that, honestly. So, and you get to go around Henley Lake, which is a lovely property and a fantastic track.
There's just so many of these courses I really need to get. I've played a lot of disc golf courses, and I think we seem to talk about another one every single blooming week that I need to make it to.
It is. So make sure you get, if you can, get up to Disctopia. I'm certainly going to be trying to head over the hill on both days because I want to play 81 holes in 2 days. 27 hole course. So it's the regular 18, and then Mark's put another 9 around the back of the lake that you don't normally play on. So yeah, get to that event if you can.
How do you think my wife would take it if I asked her if we could sell the house, buy a bus, and just drive around New Zealand playing disc golf?
Easier to get forgiveness than permission is what I would say to that.
I hope she's not listening.
Queenstown Classic is the week after, the same weekend as Makariki in Rotorua. Weekend after that is a Garden City Open, which is sold out, the 4th of the penultimate Elite Series, and then Armageddon's the week after, which again has sold out. The graphic on this is wrong. It's Armageddon has sold out. I think the waiting list I heard earlier on is about 3, so you might be lucky if you get on the week.
Yeah, jump on those waiting lists, guys. It's always worth it. I mean, from the point of view of myself, who runs events, people always pull out near the end. It's definitely worth being on that waiting list if you really want to go.
Yeah, totally. Get involved on get involved on that waiting list, because it must be like, well, you've run heaps of tournaments. You must have what, half a dozen people at least in every tournament, kind of
more than I'd care to think about.
For whatever reason, have to withdraw.
It gets frustrating, to be fair.
But really helps you, I guess, if you've got people on the waiting list, right? Because it's just one in, one out.
Yeah, 100%.
Fantastic. So get yourself along to that. Montana Flat, which is the Discathon event that Morgan was referring to earlier on in our chat with Juliana. He's that's coming in Riversdale.
I'm actually headed. Adam and I are headed down there this weekend to. It's a double sort of thing for us. We're going to go and scope out the course and things we can do for the event, or the 2 courses or the 3 courses, and we're also setting up a 9-hole mini putt, mini throw sort of course for Burning Horse Festival, which is next week. So trying to put disc golf in front of another 5,000 to 10,000 people.
Fantastic. And then finally, Brook Park Brave on the 26th to 28th of April at Te Kuiti. So look, if you enjoy what we do, and you kind of like what we do here on Sweet Jane Live, please consider subscribing to us. As Arnie once said earlier on in the chat, I think we had a fair few viewers. Surely not everybody subscribes. He wants another giveaway. Absolutely right. And our next giveaway is at 350. So if you do feel like subscribing to the channel, then please do. Really helps us get in front of more eyes, as does hitting that like button. But anyway, I think that about wraps it up for us.
I think I can say, guys, is I challenged you all to get in a goddamn ice bath this week,
right,
or in a cold body water. I was going to give you something for free. Now I feel like the only person I have photo evidence of being in there with me is Arn and Aaron, who's off to my right. So I'm going to have to do a giveaway between these 2.
So, well, I was expecting your Instagram to blow up with people sending you pictures of their icy buckets, but that's not happened. Okay. That's a shame. Anyway, look, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure having you along. And very best of luck to everybody playing at Bottle Lake this weekend, and wherever you're playing disc golf. Take it easy, play well, get some birdies, and we'll see you next week.